juice? Who's got the juice? Smooth.
I would just like to quickly apologise for, you see, my friends, I once again forgot my glasses. Yes, I keep on making a habit out of this. It's a habit I really need to stop. Once I've redecorated my room, I plan on having like a whole whiteboard and stuff so I can write down notes, and one of them is going to be, don't forget the glasses, because the glasses I adore, I still love them, they're still my babies and I still love them. And I keep on just forgetting to pop them on my head, and every time I edit a video and then they're not there, it drives me nuts. So I greatly apologise, but this video I forgot the glasses, but I will remember them in the next video and the upcoming ones. If I ever do it again, give me a slap on the wrist and tell me off because I forgot my glasses, and then I remember them more and more and more. It seems to be since I moved out that I keep on forgetting them, but I will remember them in the future. I still love them, they haven't run away, I still love my glasses, and I'm sorry. Jason! 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 Right, I think it's finally time here on the Juicy Treat Show that I talk about a series that I've actually wanted to talk about for a long time, but I've never had the timing really to do it. And I want to talk to you today about my experiences with who I like to call our Lord and Saviour, David Cage and the Quantic Dream games. I wasn't actually introduced to Quantic Dream games until one day when I was a little wee lass. I was looking at the official PlayStation magazine. It was Jim's copy because I got the Nintendo magazine on that little last time we were treated to a magazine. He used to get the PlayStation magazine and sometimes I get the Nintendo one, just then we kind of had both. But I remember he was telling me about this new game coming out, Heavy Rain. And I had never heard of this game or had I heard of this company before, but I was intrigued. I was like, okay, alright, let's see. If Jim's talking about it, then it's definitely going to be something worth looking into. So I was looking through the pages and then, oh my god, I was like, these screenshots and the images they showed on the magazine, they look so good and realistic and they look so much like the actors, and the screenshots of the game themselves were amazing. I remember just looking at the magazine and thinking, oh my god, gaming can't get any better than this. So of course then we waited and waited, and Jim was so keen on playing this game, he was so excited that he actually, I think he got it pretty close to like the day of its release or something, but he got like this special edition box which had the really nice case and then the foldable origami figure inside it. And I remember him folding up that little origami model and playing the game, and oh my god, that was where my journey with Heavy Rain started. When Jim got the game, I of course didn't watch him fully play it, as I knew I wanted to play it myself, and I didn't want anything to be spoiled for me because I knew that this was a game where your actions have consequences, so I wanted no influence on what I was going to do. But I couldn't resist in watching the introduction moment to it, like the prologue to the game, you know, when you've got Ethan and his family in the shopping centre, they're buying some shoes, and then Ethan's losing Jason, but he's not losing him, well, he's lost him at this point. And then you're looking for Jason, and then when the tragic scene happens, I'm going to say spoiler, just in case for some reason some of you don't know of this spoiler, but I mean it's not really a spoiler this day and age anyway, it's a pretty big plot detail, but spoilers just in case. But the moment where Jason gets hit by the car, and Ethan, you just see him jumping after his son, and then it just goes, you just hear the impact of the car, and the mother just screams, Jason! And then like you just hear her crying like, oh Jason, oh my god! And then just that little red balloon goes up. When I was a little kid, I was in tears, like I couldn't believe this. I was already like, oh my god, the first 20 minutes of this game and I'm in tears, oh my god. I remember like hiding my face from Jim because I was just so emotional just from that scene alone. I know a lot of people nowadays kind of like to take the mick out of that scene because of like some people are like, oh, the acting, the voice acting, this, that and the other. I mean, it is where we get the famous Jason from, but I still think that just that it's a very sort of emotional moment, especially if you've never played the game before. But of course, my little heart just was in tears at this point, and then I had to wait until Jim played the game, and then I gave it a go. Now everyone knows of Quantic Dream games that the first playthrough you do is the most important one. It's the one you have where you aren't influenced by anything, you have no idea what's going to happen, the choices you make are completely your own, and you're completely oblivious to the situation. So of course it's the most important experience you will have with the game. And you don't even talk to anyone about it or what you've chosen or things that could happen in the future because you don't want it to be spoiled for anyone else or you don't want it to be spoiled for yourself. At least that's what I do with these games anyway. But I will say that in my first playthrough, my favourite character was Scott Shelby. I thought he was an absolute lad. I thought he was great, and I wanted to give him loads and loads of cuddles because he just looked so cuddly, and he was just, his voice was so soothing, and he was just like, my name is Scott Shelby, and I was like, oh my god, Scott Shelby. I fell in love with Scott. He was my favourite. But I have to say that on my first playthrough, I nearly got all the characters through alive, but one character I accidentally killed, and that was the moment where I was like, oh my god, this game's playing me like a fiddle. I killed Norman Jayden on the scene, you know, where he's investigating like the car junkyard part, because he was like, oh, the killer got a car from this address and he got it from this person, and you're there sort of like investigating the area. So I was in that part, I thought I was doing really well, but then the moment where you're confronted with the owner and you start having a fight, I think I messed up a few on the QuickTime events where I made some wrong decisions, and basically he ended up drugging me and capturing me, and then you've got the moment where you're handcuffed to the car and the car is slowly going into the sort of car grindery thing, and you're there panically trying to get out. You're like, oh my god, what am I going to do, how do I get out? And I think the moment where I just realised what it was I had to do and I actually started to escape was the moment that the cutscene started and I realised that I might have been a bit too late. It was the moment where suddenly I thought I was doing really well. I was like, come on, get out! Because I know, like, when you first play the game, personally, I never want anyone to die. I want everyone to live, and I want to have, like, an amazing run-through. So, well, I was screaming for Norman to get out, and then just the cutscene where you take it from afar, and you see the car slowly sort of grinding into the machine. I'll never forget my reaction to it. Like, I heard him screaming in horrific death, because obviously, you know, he was being absolutely crushed. And I just remember thinking, nah, it's fine, he'll come out of it, like, you know, he escaped, he's just screamed, like, you know, it's a cliffhanger, he just made it out, the game's just doing this to mess with me, he's fine! But of course he never came back. And I was so gutted that he never came back because I couldn't finish the case, and then like discovering who the origami killer is, I did it in like a more sort of dramatic way rather than like a solid case way, and I was like, oh my god, Norman, I'm so sorry, I loved you so much. I kept on quoting him being like, Agent Norman Jayden, FBI. And the moment I killed him I was so sad, and I will never forget my little face when I killed him. It was such a gutted moment for me. I love him. But I love my experience with Heavy Rain so much, and I just instantly fell in love with it, that I played it over and over again just to get all of the endings, all the possibilities. I wanted everyone to live, everyone to die, people to live and die in different ways, everyone interacts with each other differently and has different relationships. I wanted to hear about all of it. And I spent a lot of hours playing this game just to get everything and doing the whole game over and over again. I loved it. And I was on the quest to get all of the trophies, and I got all of them apart from 2. The first one I didn't get was one where you have to do apparently a perfect route on the bear trial when you're driving a car on the motorway in the opposite direction. Now you get this trophy from like doing everything perfectly, as in like there's a very specific route you have to take, because you usually have like an option of 3 or 2. So I couldn't figure out I couldn't distinguish what was the best way to do it. So in my little gaming life, I won't lie, I looked up the routes that you had to take in order to win this trophy, and I copied it to a T. Like, I was making sure that I followed all the directions correctly just so I could get that trophy and get the so-called perfect route on the car journey. But apparently, I didn't do it! And I got incredibly salty because I did it like so many times. I tried to do the same trial using all the directions that like the internet told me, and I still didn't get that bloody trophy. And I was so salty by this that I didn't even think that I had the other trophy. I completely forgot that I had 2 trophies to get. I was just so absorbed by this one and so salty that I didn't get it, that at that point I just thought, no, I am done with this game for now. I will get that bear trial trophy thing another time, because right now I don't want to do it. And the other trophy I had to get, I believe it was like you have to get Madison or I think it's Madison or Norman, like on the top part with Scott Shelby or something. I think you have to capture him. I can't remember what that trophy fully was, but I only realised I didn't have that trophy like a couple of months ago, and I was like, oh, I thought I only had the 1 trophy left. Apparently I have 2. Now, Heavy Rain is incredibly close to my heart, not only because I enjoyed my experience with it so much that it's one of my favourite games of all time, but also because I accidentally met one of the actors who played one of the 4 main roles. Now, the actor who I met was Sam Douglas, who played Scott Shelby. So of course, Scott Shelby is my favourite character in Heavy Rain. I love him to bits. And when I met the actor, I was just... my whole mind exploded, and it was such an emotional roller coaster of a day. I met Sam Douglas when I was studying theatre studies back at my school as an A-level, and I remember that we had like a special visitor coming in to help us with our exams, and basically he was going to do a workshop with us to get our relive emotions. And you know, when you sort of put yourself in a situation, let's say where you actually felt true fear, you put yourself back in that like situation and then you reflect it on stage. We basically had a workshop that went like that. It's very Stanislavski, if you know who Stanislavski is. And I remember getting the letter, but I didn't think anything much of the name because I didn't realise that he was the actor for Scott Shelby. I just remember like sort of signing off the letter and being like, yeah, it's fine, I agree to this, and then all hunky-dory. Now, I remember when we turned up to school that day, I said to my friend, I was like, oh, like, have you seen the guy who we've got today? And she was like, oh yeah, I accidentally saw him like coming into the school. And I was like, oh, who is she? Well, who are they? And she was like, oh, like he's just some American guy, like just some tall American guy. It's probably going to be really boring. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I thought it was still going to be like fun and interesting, but I was like, oh, all right then, that's fine. I'll just sort of toodle along with it. But then when I actually opened the doors to the theatre studio that we had in class, I just looked across, like at the other end of the classroom, and I saw him sat there in a little chair, and I completely freaked out. I like bent down on my knees, I put my hands over my head, I was like, ah, like that, and I just completely crumbled. I went bright red, and I had to storm out of the classroom. And I remember my friend coming out, and she was like, what's wrong, like why you reacted like this, what's happened? And I was just like, that man is Scott Shelby, he's Scott Shelby. She was like, who's Scott Shelby? I was like, he's Heavy Rain, he's Scott Shelby. And then I had to sort of like calm down and recollect my thoughts, because I thought maybe I'm just seeing things, maybe it's not actually him. So I went back in the classroom and I very calm and collectedly sort of approached him, and I was like, excuse me sir, I don't mean to like disrupt you or anything, but are you by any chance the actor for Scott Shelby in Heavy Rain? And when he said yes, I was like, oh my god! And like, I think I remember literally just sort of like shouting and then jumping in the air right in his face, and he was probably like, why is this kid so weird? I was just so excited. And then of course, like when we're doing the actual workshop, I was a kiss-ass the whole bloody day. I couldn't help it. I was in such awe that he was there. I was so happy. I wanted to do everything to make him proud. And I remember we were like sat in a circle, sort of like introducing ourselves to everyone. And he said, like, he was like, okay, so who are you then? I was like, my name's Rosie, and then, yeah, so you have to like say who you are and then say something about yourself, or what other people say about you. So I was like, my name's Rosie, and I get told that I'm a very optimistic person. And he just looked at me and he said, then why are you playing a game like Heavy Rain? And I just sort of laughed, and I was like, well, I just love video games, and I just love PlayStation. I was like, the Heavy Rain is just so good, so of course I was going to play it. And then obviously moved on to the next person. But, oh my god, I will never forget that day. And then coming home from my lunch for a bit, and then I remember like screaming into Jim. I was like, Jim, I've got Scott Shelby. And he was like, what do you mean you've got Scott Shelby? I was like, I've got Scott Shelby. He's in school right now, and he's teaching me. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah! And to prove it, I've even got this little certificate. I think you guys can all see it, but it says, so it's like the actor's space, because he was doing a workshop in Oxford and London at the time. But it's like the actor's space. This was sort of given to us all in case we wanted to attend to it, but it says, so we've got Sam Douglas, and then love Scott Shelby with a little kiss on it. So I now have an autograph that says, love Scott Shelby, and I love this autograph. I can't wait until I can frame it on a wall, because it's one of my like key moments in school that I just love it so much. But then the next Quantic Dream game I played was Beyond Two Souls. Now again, I remember being very excited for this, because not only did I love Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe, and I thought they were really good actors, but also because I was completely sold on Quantic Dream at this point. I was keeping up to date with everything they were doing, trying to get all the news on this new game, and I was pretty damn excited for it, I won't lie. And then when we actually got it, or when Jim got it again, and I sort of played it myself, I didn't think it was bad, but it didn't leave an impact on me. Like, or I remember certain scenes from the game, but I couldn't tell you about any like moments that stood out to me or how I reacted to things, because the only thing I really remember is that I remember all my friends when the game came out, they were like, oh, isn't that game really bad? And I actually defended it at school because I said, well, no, it's not like it's bad. It's like it's all right. Like it's good, but it's okay. I wasn't just doing that because I was Quantic Dream. I was saying like Heavy Rain is definitely the better game. But with this game, I couldn't tell you any of my experiences with it because I just don't remember it. I've played it, but I just don't remember anything from it. However, I know that with the remaster, they've sort of done it, or the PS4 version anyway, they've done it so it's all in chronological order. And my friend Liam, good old, everyone say hi to Liam. He'll be watching this probably at some point, so everyone say hi, Liam. But, yeah, so I remember, like, he played it recently, and he was like, oh god, it was so good! And I was like, well, really? I was like, does it make that much of a difference? He was like, well, because he'd never played the PS3 version, and he just went straight to the PS4 version, so I've got the remastered games of them now, so I'm gonna give them both, like, another shot, not only because I want to replay Heavy Rain, but also I do want to see if, like, the new chronological order changes beyond Two Souls, because I remember it being very messy, and I want to see if it actually sort of, like, makes it a better story, like a better story really, yeah, like being told in a better way. So I will give it another shot, that will be probably soon, but yeah, let's see how it goes really. I don't remember much from this game. But then after Beyond Two Souls, I then went into Fahrenheit, which unfortunately I never finished. Fahrenheit was a game that I actually played with Jim, because we used to, like, every now and then we played like games together, and we were like, oh, let's try out Fahrenheit. And I remember we played probably, I think, like the first quarter of it, and I thought it was very interesting. It was a very interesting concept, and I was kind of like enjoying playing it. But bloody hell, I couldn't get that basketball mini game. Like, I could not figure out how to do it. It's like when you're one of the cops and you're playing basketball or something, you have to press like buttons and like to aim and then shoot power or something like that. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was like, I don't get this mini game at all. So I usually just gave up on that. But again, with Fahrenheit, like, I do definitely want to replay Fahrenheit. That's a definite one, but I think I just don't remember that much from it, probably because it was quite a while ago that I played it and we never finished it, so it's not as if I could piece up the conclusion and everything. But Fahrenheit's a game I'm definitely going to replay, and I know it's on like PS4, and my boyfriend's got it on PS4 now, so we've got the PS2 version as well, so I'll probably give that one a shot as well. I'm quite excited to check that one out again to see what it's like, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully I'll enjoy it a bit more than Beyond, but also I won't enjoy it as much as Heavy Rain. And then we move on to the big bad boy, the one that everyone's talking about at the moment, Detroit Become Human, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. I know a lot of people have some like nit and bits and stuff about it, but I loved it, and I was excited for this game for years. In fact, if some of you remember, on my top 10 robots list, I actually put Kara as one of the entries for it, and this was before I even knew anything about the game properly. All I had was just like this one trailer to go on, you know, when they're kind of like making her and she's like, my name is Kara. And I was like, oh my god, this game looks amazing, and it's got robots, and I love robots. I'm even wearing my clank top again. It's all interlinking. This is unplanned. But I was like so excited for it, and I just kept on watching like any new bits of news that came out. I watched that news, or I read that news. The only thing I didn't do was when gameplay was actually announced. The only thing I watched was, I think it was on E3, you know, when like someone was playing the game, I can't remember who it was, and then they were like, okay guys, you're gonna tell me what it is we're gonna do. So then like there was part when Connor is like with the fish, and I remember the audience going, save the fish! Save the fish! But that's the only thing I've sort of watched at the time from it. Because I know you could have downloaded the demo for it on that first stage, but I didn't even want to play the demo because I wanted to purely go into the game with no idea what's going to happen, no idea what my choices would like result in. I wanted to go in there blind. And I remember when the game came out, I really wanted to get it on the day of its release. However, I was a couple of days late because I had to work. But literally, I went into the shop, picked it up and went straight to the till. I was just so excited. I didn't even care how much it was. I was just like, whoop, and then I just paid for it and went off home. But this game was actually one that I played with my boyfriend. This is the first time in a Quantic Dreams games that I've sort of properly played it with someone else. I know I played Fahrenheit with Jim, but it wasn't like, we didn't have to do that many choices and things like that. But playing Detroit with my boyfriend, it was actually very tough because we both were so invested in the game and we were so invested in the characters. We had some moments where we had conflicting ideas on what to do. Like, they were like, oh no, we should do this, or no, I think we should do this. And we were just so, but you have hardly any time to do it. And I was even got so bad at one point that my boyfriend, bless him, he just went, oh, it's fine, you're just gonna go with your opinion anyway, it doesn't matter what I say. And I was like, no, it's not like that, but we were running out of time, and then I had to make a decision, so I just went with my decision. And I have apologised greatly to my boyfriend for that, because I do feel as if sometimes my emotions took over sometimes. But we had a great time playing it, and we only managed to kill 2 characters. I said it as if we were trying to kill them. Obviously we were trying to keep everyone alive, but we unfortunately killed 2 characters. The first character we killed was Luther, which I was very sad about because I loved the little family unit that Luther, Kara and Alice had going on for them, and I really wanted them to stay together. But it was the moment where they're all in Jericho and Luther's just been shot in the leg, I believe, and you're like, Alice is like, save him! But at the time I was like, okay, really, we want to sort of like prioritise Alice, and Luther was like, go on without me! And I thought that if we went to save, or we thought anyway, that if we went to save Luther, that Alice would have died. It was kind of like a risk-reward type thing. So it was either like, okay, do we save Luther, or do we save Alice? That was our mindset at the time. So we thought we would prioritise Alice, which, I mean, I prefer Luther as a character, but you know, we were sort of like, okay, she's kind of like the main goal for Kara. So we saved Alice and we hid, and Luther, he got shot, bless him, and I was like, no, Luther! But he was also like, go on, save yourselves, go on without me. So he died for a noble cause, but then actually doing the rest of Jericho, we managed to save all of the other characters, and it was at that point that we thought, oh my god, we could have easily have saved Luther. If it was just going to be a couple of quick time events, I mean, it was intense, don't get me wrong, but we were like, we could have easily have saved him, and then I just got rather pissed off that we didn't save him. But the second character who we killed actually made me cry when they died, and that was Hank. I loved Hank. Hank is probably my favourite character in the game. I love the relationship that Hank and Connor have, and the moment where he died, it was so it was so tragic but really sweet at the same time. It was the moment where Connor's gone down to the basement in Cyberlife and you've got all the androids there. Now, it was then you get the other Connor and he's like got Hank at gunpoint and he's like, oh, sorry Connor, you just all look so fucking familiar. But, so you have like Hank at gunpoint, Connor's there and he's just like, what are you gonna do, your mission or you save your friend? And we were like, okay, we're here, we were like, well, okay, no, at first we thought, save Hank, that was it, we were like, he's our main man, we've got to help him out. So we went then to save Hank, and then by doing that, Hank sort of like deflected the evil Connor, and then they sort of had a battle. And myself and my boyfriend were like, yes, go on Hank, so that we thought he can take care of himself, he's going to take care of that Connor, we'll convert the androids. So then, rather than save Hank again, we converted the androids, and then Hank got shot, and we were like, no, Hank! But I thought maybe there's a chance he's still, because we didn't know where he got shot. But it wasn't until then we defeated the evil Connor, all the androids were converted and Hank was just there on the floor, and just that final moment was so emotional and sad, but he was so happy that he was just like, I can see my son again. So it's not as if it was like he didn't want to go, and that's why I kind of felt happy that he died, because I know there are obviously endings where he lives and they're like really nice as well, but a part of me was also like, he's wanted this for so long in a weird way, and I was just like, he's died for a noble cause. He was like, you tell those humans are bastards or something like that, and he was like, you fucking get him, kid. And I was like, no, Hank! And I was just crying, and I remember my boyfriend was like, he was just talking to me, he was like, Hank's dead, Rose! He was like, you killed him! And I just sort of like hid my face, and then he was like, Rose! And then when I looked at him, he just saw the tears, he was like, wow, you're actually crying, and I was like, yes! And I was so sad. I loved Hank so much, and next time he's gonna live. I'm gonna make him live throughout, because he's my favourite. But with Detroit Become Human, I do intend on replaying it and trying to get as many outcomes as I can, and I'm going to try and go for the platinum. But obviously it's a rather big game, with so many different options and things you can take, so I'm kind of taking a break from it at the moment, but then when I've played a few other games and I'm kind of back in the zone of it, I'm going to go straight back in there and I'm going to go all those endings, get all those possibilities, and I'm going to try and get that platinum. Now, in terms of my favourite Quantic Dream game, I'm always debating between Heavy Rain and Detroit because they're both really good in my eyes. But whereas I feel that Detroit sort of plays better and graphically it looks amazing, like it's stunning, I think Heavy Rain is just too close to my heart to not say that it's my favourite. Heavy Rain is just a game that I've got so many experiences with. I loved every minute of it and I still love it to pieces to this day. I just adore it, and I think it's going to be really hard in terms of an emotional scale for something to top Heavy Rain for me in terms of Quantic Dream, but it came very close with Detroit Becoming Human because I had a lot of similar emotions while playing it like I did to Heavy Rain. Like, I was actually connected to all of the characters. But we will see how Fahrenheit holds out. We'll see how Beyond Two Souls, as in the remastered version, like, we'll see how that pans out. And I've never played, is it like not Omnikrog, Omni something, the one with Bowie in it, apparently. I didn't even know that game existed until recently. There we go, I'm gonna put the text there. That's what the game's called, I can't remember at the moment. But I mean, I probably might check that game out at some point if I get a hold of it, because I think it'll be really interesting to see sort of where it all started. It was the first Quantic Dream game, so I'd love to see how it goes. But Quantic Dream, you have given me so many emotional experiences and so much pleasure and enjoyment and just sadness. You've given me all the emotions you could think of, and thrilling experiences as well. You have just done so much for me. I still stand by you, Quantic Dream. While everyone else was taking the mick, I stood by you. David Cage, our Lord and Saviour, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I like to call him, and we'll see what the future holds for Quantic Dream. Hopefully they'll give us an even better and more crazier game, but time will, well, not crazier, but it's in like an emotionally, just a great game, but time will tell. And I think from what we've seen from Detroit, hopefully we'll have something even better.